Hey, Juice Heads, what the hell is happening? Welcome to Season 2, obviously, of the Juice Giorgio Network with a new home, which is where the fuck you're at, and Episode 5 of The Wrestling Show, which is entitled The Smackdown and Rampage DrinkAlong. No, I did not go on at 8 o'clock tonight on the dot. I wanted to do something a little different tonight, timing-wise. That way, just like the background, we can blend Smackdown into Rampage, or let me try that again. Smackdown into Rampage. And, yeah, we see Dominic Mysterio coming out now. Don't want to forget it is a watch-along, but we got some other shit to talk about. And I am excited tonight because this is my first night broadcasting on YouTube with Feuds. And this is not a plug for Feuds, but I had another service provider, and when you do these things, upload speed is really all that matters. So we got that upload speed for you, and if I see lag, there's going to be some motherfucking heads rolling, because there should never be lag again with my connection. And shameless plug, get your swag, get your merch. Although technically I probably couldn't sell that. It's a little too obvious. Maybe I could sell that thing up there, but anywho, let's get into this, because again, and I really side with Eric Bischoff on this. I'm an overall ratings person when I look at ratings. Okay, yes, demographics are important, and it seems like in particular the 18 to 49 demo is what they focus on, and that's great. But if you're going to make the analogy that it's a ratings war, well, then one demographic is just a battle in the war. And yes, is that the most important demographic? Is that what they look at? Abso-fucking-lutely. I'm not going to deny that. And I'm not an apologist for either company. And I like to see ratings go up. And yes, there is a lot of overlap. Not everybody that watches Raw watches Dynamite, and vice versa. But who knows how many people watch both? It could be 50%, right? It could be 60%. It could even be 80%. I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 50%. And I don't know if there's a way to measure that. Just like there was really no way to measure when the ratings were astronomical back in the day for Raw and Nitro in the late 90s. Who's to say that people weren't watching both shows in the same household? People flipping channels. It happened all the time. I myself, as a WWF at the time loyalist, if something was intriguing me enough to flip the channel to Nitro, I would do it. Now, I'm not saying just me doing that affected the ratings either which way, but I was 99.9% always on Raw. But my point is, a lot of fans were always flipping in between the two shows. So I don't know how they add up these numbers. Who really knows how they add up these numbers anyway? But the point is, back in the day, say Raw had, let's say a 4.3 and Nitro had like a 3.9. Well, you got to do one of those circle, and then in the middle circle diagrams, because there's going to be some that only watch this, some that only watch that, but there's going to be overlap in between. And that's exactly what's happening now, because a wrestling fan is a wrestling fan is a wrestling fan. And a lot of wrestling fans will watch Raw, say that 10 times fast, regardless of how good or bad it is. And same with SmackDown, NXT, Rampage, and Dynamite, and whatever other shows there might be out there. Impact. What the fuck is Impact? There's just not enough time in the day. When Christian Cage came out in Impact and they had Kurt Angle, I sort of watched it here and there a little bit, but even then, it just always felt like WWE light to me. But that's another story for another day. So as SmackDown is on commercial, let's get to some of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, because I did get a full week of wrestling watching in, as we're really hitting a stride now at hashtag JGNS2, baby. And I promise, by the way, there's going to be more than just wrestling shows on here. We're going to do a reboot of the football show from the other network. We're going to do a reboot of what's trending from the other network and whatever else. Maybe some short movies, 90-second movies and stuff like that. We're going to have a lot of fun here. So this is the place to be. All right. So the first thing I wanted to get to, Wednesday night, we had Maliki Black and Goldust. Yes, I still call him Goldust because that's my favorite iteration of him. I think it's everybody's favorite iteration of him. And yes, he's the natural Dustin Rhodes. Is what he's calling himself now, but he's fucking Goldust. Let's just call a spade a spade. He's Goldust, and I think he's proud of that. I think if he were here right now, or somehow he saw this, or I were in touch with him, excuse me, it is a drink along. If I were to call him Goldust, I don't think he'd be offended by that. I think he's proud of taking that ball and fucking running with it, and I don't think anybody else could have done as good a job as he did as Goldust. But I want to talk about something that gets really overlooked these days a lot on any wrestling program. All right? And that's ring psychology. Very, very, very important. Just go back. This is like Wrestling 101. And nowadays, Wrestling 101 is getting your spots in, not selling, kicking out of finishers. And no. Let's get away from that. All right. And this is why I loved this match. Maliki Black's entrance is awesome. And it's not, let me figure out a way to put this, because so many entrances, we know they're choreographed and practiced and rehearsed for probably 95%. And that's fine, but they just don't feel natural. It feels like I'm watching Broadway, and it's bad enough that people already consider this Broadway. Okay, it's simulated violence, as my podcast hero Don Tony likes to call it. And yes, you do need an entrance of some sort, but now Sami Zayn is making his entrance to the fake Mighty Mighty Boss Stones theme music. And his entrance felt natural. Now we know he rehearsed it. We know they practiced it. But again, there's so many choreographed, or should I say over choreographed entrances that just, I don't care how much you practice or choreograph it. I just want it to feel natural. And a lot of these entrances I see lately feel different just for the sake of being different. But I love Maliki Black's entrance. And it goes 110% with his character. And it just feels right. And it's awesome. And it's actually a little bit intriguing. All right. And that plays into the ring psychology, because that entrance also blends into his style of wrestling. And I love the whole feud he has going on with anybody associated with Cody Rhodes. And by the way, somebody, please, for the love of God, just let me know how the hell he got the rights to the name Cody Rhodes, because he was just Cody for so long, which I hated. And for the most part, with a few exceptions, I hate mononyms, period. In wrestling, out of wrestling, unless you're like Madonna, I get it. But yeah, there's Lord knows how many people named Cody walking the face of the earth. So let's give the guy a fucking last name. And I know he couldn't use his last name or his work last name because of something with the WWE. So I don't know if he worked out some kind of an agreement or whatever. But I love that they're calling him Cody Rhodes again. All right. I like when people have a last name. That's just me. I might be crazy. All right. But great match with Goldust and Maliki Black on Wednesday night on Dynamite. I really enjoyed that. But let's talk about the headline. Amply titled, Knee Jerking Off Continues. I thought that was pretty clever. WWE finally blows load on Raw. And what do we mean by that? Biggie. Another guy that they took away his fucking last name. And there's kind of already another Biggie. I mean, he's been dead for a while, but still. If you do a search for Biggie or Big E, I know they're spelled differently. But he came in as Biggie Langston. I don't think that's the greatest name on the planet to begin with, but I like it better than just Big E. And what does E even stand for? If his name was like Eddie or whatever, I can't think of any other E names off the top of my head right now. But I don't know. Whatever. The guy's big. I get it. Okay. He's Big E. Fine. Nothing against him. I like the guy. I like him. And I think this is long overdue, and we're going to see what he can do with the strap. But I guess this is more knee-jerking reaction that we've been talking about now for the last few weeks of the WWE reacting to what AEW is doing. And I love it. I don't necessarily love the product. I don't necessarily love how they're carrying out their knee-jerking reaction, but I love that they're at least, without saying the letters AEW, they're addressing and responding directly to AEW, which is good. Now, does that necessarily mean their product is improving? Maybe it's a little more palatable if you have the tolerance for it, but it's something, and something is better than nothing. They're causing some sort of a disruption right now with the WWE, which is good for everybody. And if that disruption leads to a better product, then maybe the WWE will stop losing talent to AEW. And we're going to talk a little bit about that more down the pike here. But speaking of that match, so Randy Orton obviously was supposed to face Lashley. I know he's not Lashley. And I actually liked when they just called him Lashley on his first run. I mean, they would call him Bobby Lashley, but he was just Lashley. Now they call him the Almighty. I get it, whatever. That's fine, too. I have nothing against that. But that match obviously was supposed to be a week from Sunday at Extreme Rules. And as one of the wrestling shows I watch on YouTube, and I'm not saying their name on purpose. I just forget which one it was. I think it was I don't even know off the top of my head. And whatever. I'm sure one day I'll do a show with them. And they get, like, my views times 27 million. It's not WrestleMania. It's the other one. And I just, oh, man. Cultaholic. Okay, I remember. Cultaholic. Pointed out that for once, the WWE actually wrote a good storyline or a suitable storyline explaining why Orton was going to face Lashley for the strap on Raw instead of Extreme Rules, when that match was originally booked as a tag team championship match with RK Bro against Lashley and MVP. But obviously, I mean, we know what's really going on. We know what's really happening. We know this is all knee-jerk reaction stuff. And like I said, that's fine. And it was a big surprise. And it was nice to see. Biggie's been around for a while. And I think I even said this last week or the week before. Give this guy the strap and let him see what he could do with it. But let him be him. I don't want to see bad writing. I don't want to see stupid backstage skits. I want to let him be him, because I think with a guy like him that's got obviously charisma and personality as well as one hell of a fucking physique, I think there's no ceiling on what this guy can do with that belt. So let him have a good run with it. And he's pretty over. He's pretty over. So I like it. And let's just hope they don't botch it, like they've been known to botch a lot of things. All right. And I wanted to talk about possible feuds with Biggie. Now, he showed up tonight on Smackdown in the first segment. So, and again, we're going to talk about possible feuds with Biggie. But again, I have to say, what in the hell is he doing on SmackDown if he's the WWE champion? Is this a real brand split? Is it selective? I know they have like these rules, and there's a draft coming up in a couple weeks. I put November on the notes. It's actually in a couple weeks in October. Just, I don't know. I don't think they need a brand split at all, and we don't have to go down this road because it's just frustrating when things make no sense, and it's not worth getting frustrated over. We'll just put it that way. Oh, shit. Talk about a watch-along. Bianca Belair in her hometown. And they just showed her with Mayor Kane, the mayor of Knox County. And actually, I heard he's actually a damn good mayor. So that's all good. So, yeah, I mean, possible feuds for Big E, assuming he's a Raw guy. Or, again, if he's a floater between both brands, I like that. But you only need one belt. Let's do that. Oh, speaking of Mayor Kane, I know you can hear it. This is great. I think this is the first time he's coming out as Kane and the mayor at the same time, and I like it. Now the WWE says they like putting smiles on faces. This actually just made me smile because I like Kane the person. I like Kane the mayor. I like Kane the character. And I didn't realize, I mean, I realized they were in Knoxville tonight, but I didn't put two and two together. Obviously, Knoxville must be where? Knox County, where he is the mayor. Yes, some states have a mayor for the county. The state I'm in, New Jersey, doesn't. And we're actually going to talk more about my homeland a little bit later. So I don't like to assume things, but I'm going to, for the sake of this show, assume Big E is going to be a Raw guy. All right. So let's do this. Let's run down the Raw roster here like we did last week, but we'll do it again. WWE Raw. And we have a lot to get into tonight, actually, which is good. Because I can just ramble off the top of my head about wrestling for days on end, but I like having a little bit of an agenda. So let's get to... And last week, we also discovered that on Wikipedia, you can get the Raw roster, but you can't get the SmackDown roster, which is... I don't know. It's just a little weird. It just goes to show you, like... Raw will always be the fucking flagship show for sure. And even now, I don't know. I can't find the fucking roster as I'm live, but that is what it is. But we know who's on there. There's guys like Orton. There's guys, I'm just going to name RK Bro. And, it's getting hot in here with the one person watching. But seriously, who the hell is on Raw? Personnel. Former personnel. Okay. All right. We got this. Roster. Oh, okay. So we do have a Raw roster here. And a SmackDown Raw. Okay. I found a different page. All right. So on Raw. Okay. AJ Styles. Although he's sort of mixed up in a tag team. Tozawa, by the way, that's another story for another day. I hate to see that this 24/7 belt has really turned into it's a joke. They got to drop it. It's supposed to be like a PG version of the hardcore title. Just all it is guys chasing guys. I mean, yes, you saw some of that with the hardcore championship, but you also had actual matches and yes, the belt was defended 24/7 in kayfabe. But you would think that WWE could do a better job than to just have people chasing people. That's what the belt should be called. The people chasing people belt. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm going to call it from now on. I'm going to make a note of that. The people chasing people belt. So it's the PCP. You are the champion of people chasing people. Anywho, so now per this Wikipedia page, Biggie is officially on the Raw roster, but who the fuck knows? So Damian Priest is a name that stands out to me, and maybe down the line, maybe at Survivor Series, if they want to be creative, maybe we can see U.S. title versus WWE title match, Damian Priest versus Big E. I'd actually be interested in that. I'm just going down the line here. I'm not going to name all the names. John Morrison would be a good feud, but he'd never win. Jeff Hardy would be good. And again, these are, those are two baby faces, so we don't know if we're going to see that. Let's go back to Kane here. Let's see what Kane has to say. He's really over at home. I like it. Who doesn't like Kane?
As Mayor of Knox County, it is my great pleasure to welcome the EST of WWE back to her hometown, Bianca Belair.
Now, I hope he does more than just an intro. We'll see if he stays in the ring. We'll go back to that because Kane's awesome. All right, so who else can we get into a feud with Biggie? Let's fantasy book here for a second here. And again, I'm seeing Drew McIntyre. And again, it seems like all the heavyweight contenders are baby faces on Raw. It seems like they don't have enough main event heels as I'm going down this list. So hopefully they correct that with the draft. I mean, I see the Miz here. So who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Randy Orton, again, who's now a babyface. Sheamus, do we really want to see Sheamus back in the heavyweight championship picture? But there's really nobody that, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, that's a credible heel at that level. The only person I see is AJ Styles, really. You got Elias. There's really not a lot of heels on Raw. You have Jinder Mahal. So that might be your next feud with Big E by default, assuming Big E stays on Raw. But let's take it back to Kane.
It is amazing.
And Bianca, of course.
But they say that everything that happens in your past, it shapes your future.
All right. That's some boring dialogue, but what are you going to do? Yeah, so here's who I'm going to narrow it down to. Bobby Lashley just keeps feuding for like some sort of a rematch. Maybe AJ Styles goes to be a dual champion. Or you have, who's the other heel? Jinder Mahal. And again, we have a draft coming up in a couple weeks. So Raw definitely needs more main event heels. That's very apparent. And that's something we just uncovered here together on the Smackdown and Rampage DrinkAlong. So there's that. Okay. Next. All right. Kane speaking.
Championship at Extreme Rules. You got to come back here to Knoxville because we're going to have a huge celebration in your honor. Great.
There's also something hidden on a table behind them, so let's let this segment go for a little bit.
To present you with the key to our county.
The key to the county. All right, Mayor Kane. Gotta love Mayor Kane.
Congrats to the EST.
All right. But if Bianca Belair is such a big deal, again, don't squash her in 10 seconds at SummerSlam. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. I mean, that's just rude. Really, really rude. Again, excuse me, this is a drink along after all, because we do need to drink to get through SmackDown. All right. So, and again, I'm going to give a hat tip to Solomonster. Otherwise, I would have had no idea about this. Mick Foley, who I heard is a great, wonderful guy. I just wish he wouldn't talk so much about politics because politics ruins everything. Mick Foley has now major heat with the WWE, and he played the tape. And he basically just told it like it is. He didn't say anything crazy. He didn't say anything disrespectful. He just pretty much diagnosed, like any doctor would do. If there's something wrong with you and a doctor diagnosed it, you don't get mad at the doctor. You can't address a problem you can't fix a problem unless you address what that problem is. And you do have to diagnose the problem. That's how things get fixed. Now, Becky Lynch is making her way to the ring talking shit, and I like a heel Becky Lynch.
Extreme rules, but you're Knoxville's champion. You're Knoxville's champion. You're not the real champion, but you're Knoxville's champion.
She's funny. She's got like a really crazy getup on.
This is fast, yeah.
She's got the Lita thong thing.
I've never been to a homecoming before.
Actually,
She got a key.
little Lita, little Sonya Blade.
Unfortunately, I've got this championship on lock, but you know what, girl. I mean, why are you even here? I mean, you standing here and you don't even go here.
I don't even know what that meant. You don't even go here? Does that mean like you don't belong here?
No. Genuinely, sitting.
Or you don't live here? It actually sounds like Becky got thrown off for a little bit, and then she had to sort of get back on, like me before when I was looking for the Raw roster. It happens. As Becky extends her hands out, or her hand for a handshake.
You got all these little girls, these little boys that look up to you. I just came to shake your hand. You're not going to shake the man's hand? I'm being the bigger man here.
Seems like a reasonable request for Big Time Bex.
Big Time Bex. I like Pat McAfee. A couple weeks ago, I didn't know if he was still on SmackDown because Corey was filling in. So glad he's back. They're now doing a little tug of war deal. Is it me or I just can't stand the sound of Michael Cole's voice. And I think what's going to happen is what happens every week. Fox won't even give SmackDown until 10 o'clock. SmackDown is usually off the air at like 9:58, 9:59. Which, again, doesn't make that big of a deal, but it's just weird that they don't give them the full 2 hours. So it's only 9:57, and it looks like they're about to go off the air. Just weird. You would think that maybe they could take. All right, now it's 9:58. So, okay, they have that 2 minutes. But you would think they could spread out that 2 minutes over, like, maybe one extra commercial over 4 breaks or whatever it might be. But now it's time to flip to TNT, which we usually don't make it this far. But that's why I wanted to start tonight at 9:30. So let's do this together since this is a drink-along. And we'll check out Rampage. And next week is a 2-hour Rampage, so I don't know what the hell I'm going to do for that. We might start at like 9:45 next week, or we could start at 8 and go for 4 hours. That would be insane. That would be insane. I probably would have to take a piss break or two if we were going to do that. But I wanted to transition by saying, speaking of piss breaks, blah, 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 but I don't talk about piss break people. That's not what I do. There's other podcasts for that. And that's good because I like when piss break people get called out because they should get called out. But I try to be a little more positive and make light of things. But new look for NXT. So they've been teasing this. I think I mentioned it once or twice. They've been playing like this Wale song and showing like almost like a Dynamite sort of color scheme, but instead of like all the colors up against black, it's all the colors up against white. And can you connect the dots? Because I can. And the set and the stage and everything didn't look like Dynamite at all. But the I don't want to say the color scheme of the show, but sort of like the color scheme and the graphics sort of remind me of Dynamite a little too much. So I thought that was a little weird. And I hate that in 2021 we're still saying 2.0, because 2.0 is such like a 1995 to like 2000 thing, and we're still using it. And there's a legitimate need to say that terminology when you're talking about software updates. So, but to use it for like non-software related things this day and age, I just think is corny and weak, and you could do better than that. I mean, if you really want to reboot it, just do something else besides calling it 2.0. I don't know what the hell you do. I don't work for them, but you could do better than NXT 2.0. You really could. In terms of a name for the show. Don't call it the new and improved NXT, because that would actually be worse than 2.0. But I don't know. They used to, before NXT was its own show, they used to say NXT season 1, season 2, season 3. So you could just say NXT the new season or something like that. But instead you got these mysterious commercials for it where you have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. And by the way, Rampage is on now, and the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny are back, and they're with Hardy. And I'm not a fan of a 3-person booth, and they have a 4-person booth here. But you got Y2J, you got Excalibur, you got Taz, and they actually have Ricky Starks, who we're not going to talk about him in particular, but down the docket we are going to talk about that.
You're the top-ranked tag team in AEW to challenge the champions of Lucha Brothers.
And Jericho's great on a commentary, so Rampage is totally a very solid show. So what the hell were we talking about? Yeah, NXT just sort of being eerily similar to Dynamite in terms of presentation. But one thing, it's funny, I was watching it, and please forgive me because I didn't jot his name down, but it turned out to be Rick Steiner's son. And as I was watching the match, I noticed that they used the phrase dog face gremlin. And I noticed he had like a 1993 Steiner Brothers singlet on. Like, not exactly a replica, but like the same style. And yeah, it turned out to be Rick Steiner's son, and he looked good in his debut. And we know what's going to come with this new version of NXT. It's going to be more of a Vince NXT, which is okay. And I was actually going to talk about Adam Cole next, and we know what shit plans they had for him for the main roster, which totally sucked, which made his decision to jump to AEW a no-brainer. But a guy that size, and I've said this a million times over, and I'm not going to say I can kick Adam Cole's ass, and I'm not going to say Adam Cole can kick my ass. All I'm saying is that a guy of his size and stature, and I want to say this the right way, because I know all the wrestlers watch this show, and I respect them all. Because I might be smaller than Adam Cole. I don't know. But I'm just saying a guy that size is not intimidating at all. And the way I measure if somebody's got like the street cred, if you want to put it like that, when I look at them, I think to myself, if I were at a bar and this guy were at a bar at the same time, would I want to pick a fight with this guy? Or would I want to stay the fuck away from them because they're going to kick the shit out of me if I, move my hand the wrong way or whatever? Or if I put my beer too close to their beer? Would I want to do anything to take this person off? And I'm sorry, I just don't feel that way about Adam Cole. I like him. I like his character. I like his in-ring work. I thought he had an awesome match in my home area of Newark, New Jersey the other night. But I just don't get that from him. And that's exactly why Vince wanted him to be somebody's bitch on the main roster. And again, that's why I don't blame him for saying fuck you and making the obvious move. I mean, that move couldn't be any more obvious to fucking, make your Helen Keller blind joke. Insert that, because you would have to be Helen Keller blind to not make that move. So good for him. I'm happy for him. But he just doesn't. Now, Rick Steiner's son, on the other hand, and not that I'm comparing the two, I was just happening to be talking about him from the other night. I wouldn't want to pick a fight with that guy. I would not want to upset him at a bar. That's all I'm saying. That's all I mean by that. The other thing about Adam Cole I wanted to talk about is something that JR has recently talked about on his podcast, and that's the whole being a cool heel kind of a thing. As the Lucha Brothers are actually having a pretty good match with the Butcher and the Blade here. Again, very glad to see the Butcher and the Blade back in action. Let's cut into that a little bit.
A sling blade for the Blade, Excalibur.
Jericho's great. I cut in right at the right time.
Lucha Bros got mine here. You never know what Phoenix is going to do. I'm telling you.
Lucha Brothers are great. That tag match at that pay-per-view, All Out, was phenomenal. Phenomenal. That had to be one of the best tag team. I mean, it was more of a tornado match, obviously, in the cage, but that had to be one of the best tag team matches I've ever seen. Just really great. And I'm not trying to blow AEW. I just call it like I see it. And I really do like the Butcher and the Blade also.
Truck from the cover. Whoa.
And you know what? I'm glad that the champs aren't just getting pinned like that, because that was the Butcher with getting a near fall there. I like the Butcher and the Blade, but this match either has to be a no contest or let the Lucha Brothers go over, in my opinion. Don't do this 50-50 booking nonsense the WWE does. Anywho, back on the cool heel thing. So obviously Adam Cole is super, super, super over right now. It is a drink along after all. So sometimes we do have to take a sip, and sometimes those sips come back up, and you can only do so much about it. I am tonight having a carbonated beverage. So let's see here. Got a text. Had to answer that text. Sorry about that. I owe you guys a beer. For the one person watching live, you got a beer. Everybody else, sorry, you just had to deal with that. But anywho, Adam Cole is top 3 over in AEW right now. Him, Punk, and I was gonna say Daniel Bryan, but you call him whatever you want. American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and that's because they're new. And Punk is right. A lot of that is going to wear off over time, and that's just the way it works. But that's perfectly normal. Nothing against them. But the cool heel thing, is that counterproductive? Because this guy is so over, and now you have to start putting him against baby faces if he's going to be a heel in the elite group. And by the way, I'm so glad that the group named the Elite are now fucking heels, because they were baby faces, and the group was a little bit different in the beginning. But any group that calls themselves the Elite, What the fuck would you be a babyface group for if you call yourself elite? You're basically saying you're better than everybody else. You're elite. So, perfect name for a heel group. So, props to AEW creative, or from what I hear, the wrestlers are the creative. So, props for making that group heel. But Adam Cole is so over right now, and he does this thing. And my point is, if Adam Cole is going to be a heel, if Adam Cole wants to be a heel, then you know what? You got to stop throwing your arms up, and you got to stop doing your fancy shit that makes the crowd make noise in a positive light. Because somebody that over can very easily, if they were creative enough, make the crowd react just as much in the opposite direction. And if Adam Cole wants to be a heel and a successful heel, that's what he needs to do. Or is he more worried about being over, being a cool heel and selling merch? And if you want to be a babyface, dude, you should just be a babyface. That's again, this is just my take on it. That's my opinion. And I feel like that across the board. You name it. I'm just using that as an example right now because I want to say that Adam Cole is the most over heel in all of pro wrestling right now at the moment. Oh, Butcher's laying people out. Let's take a listen.
Big Butch right there and brings his partner to corner to make the legal tag. SWAT team. These two are a tag team made in heaven, David. Really are. That's right. They're made in hell for Penta right now. Oh. Butcher just looks like a barroom brawler's going to kick the crap out of you, and that's what he's doing right now.
Another near fall.
Butcher and Blade become the new tag team champions here on Rampage tonight. I'd love it. I'd go out drinking with them afterwards and give them the barroom fall. So you want to be history?
Dude,
it could happen.
It's like we're on the same page here.
No, Rampage is hot. Anything can happen on Rampage, and Penta's letting them know right now. The Settle right in the face of the Blade, zero fear, but the power.
Wow,
slam.
the Blade. Just a two.
Just a two.
I am actually interested in this match, not only because I like both tag teams, but because I just don't want to see the tag champs lose like they would do. If this were Raw or SmackDown, you could bet everything that the champs would lose. So the match is still ongoing. And I also, by the way, enjoy Matt Hardy being a player coach. I really like that. I think that's what he meant when he said he still has a lot to offer for the business other than just putting over young kids. Because that's, I think, what they had him doing before he left the WWE. So good for him. Now, if the heels win in a cheating fashion, like it looks like the Butcher and the Blade are really starting to cheat, and if they win by cheating, I'm cool with that. I'm not cool with a distraction roll-up. I'm tired of that. All right. Christian was backstage on Dynamite doing an interview, and actually he was talking shit to Adam Cole and said something to the effect of he came here for losing the Wednesday Night War, and I appreciate that because Christian, I think, is in the best shape of his fucking career. I think Christian still has a lot in the tank. And do I think he's got another run with a heavyweight championship? No. Do I think he's capable? Yes. But do I think it's going to happen? No. Okay, the Lucha Brothers, did they win? Yeah. No. Or yeah. Yeah, the Lucha Brothers won. Good. Good. And now the heels are going to attack. That's fine. But for God's sakes, let the champions win a 9-title match. So good. Good. Great. If not good, great. But yeah, as you know, as you just said, I'm a big fan of Christian. And he's proven right now that he can still get the job done. Period. Better than ever before, apparently. I mean, he's probably not going to ever take some of the crazy bumps he took 20 years ago. But in terms of just doing good work and being in the best shape of his career, are you kidding me? Christian Cage, man. Can't get enough of that guy. And I like that he aligned himself with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus and that midget. Can you still say midget? I'm trying to do my shows a little more. I don't want to say fan friendly, but just I'm trying to cast a wider net. So if the use of the word midget is offensive, someone let me know in the comments, because just want to have fun here. He's a short person. Anywho, speaking of offending people, now that was the segue. MJF, just like last week, cut that heel promo on the city of Cincinnati this week. He could have so easily cut a heel promo on the city of Newark, but Newark is like, you really don't know about it that much unless you live here. I hate to say this, but it's kind of a Jersey thing. So he just ripped on Jersey, which is great because I love it. Nothing I haven't heard before. And he did it for the heat, and he got heat. He got so much heat, in fact, the crowd started chanting, "Shut the fuck up." And I don't know if I've ever seen that chant before. So I'm proud that an arena about 10 miles away from me made that chant. And I really, really wanted to go to that show, but I just had I have a real job, by the way. This isn't my full-time job just yet. But I had a big work day on Thursday, so I had to be in tip-top shape for that. There's no way I could have went to Dynamite and have functioned at work the next day. It just wasn't going to happen. But I thought that was really cool. I was going to dive into Extreme Rules, but I think we might as well just save that for next week. And in the beginning of the show, I think we were going to talk about ratings, and I think I did. And I think I only gave one side of the coin. We talked about demographics. But I just want to talk about actual numbers right now. And so let's see here. This is so stupid how this app works. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it, but it should be a little bit easier. But there it is. So let's see. Per Forbes, Dynamite a couple days ago, September 15th. This is the number I care about, right? Total viewership. Let's just round that to 1.2 million viewers. And back in the day, I used to like ratings points. So, like, it's weird. They'll give you ratings points for the demo and the total viewers, but they won't give you ratings points for the complete total. It's a little bizarre to me. But, okay, round that to 1.2 million. All right, we talked about battles and wars, and we talked about the 18 to 49 demo, and that's fine. Now we're going to, real quick, we're going to go to the other side of the coin, which, damn it. Okay, here we go. They need a better system on this application I'm using here. We're going to go to the Raw ratings and break that down for you a little bit. And let's go 4 nights ago, and you can round that up to 1.7 million viewers, okay? So 500,000 more viewers total on Raw. Now, did they lose by like a 0.01 in that key demographic? Okay. And again, I'm not an apologist for either company. I have no dog in the fight. But don't make something out to be what it's not. Raw is still getting more viewers. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Now, if you want to talk about it in terms of commercial appeal, I know demographics are important when you're trying to sell commercials. But that's not what we're talking about here. That's not what any podcast talks about. That's not what any wrestling fan or reporter talks about. And you might as well get that shut the fuck up chant going back on the next time somebody tells you Dynamite beat Raw in ratings, because that's just not the case. When they get more overall viewers, then yes. But until that happens, no. And that's all I got to say about that. Another thing I have to say that I do like, this guy Dan Lambert, that I really never heard of him, sort of came out of nowhere for me. Is that the bunny coming back out again? God damn, she is cute with Penelope. You know what? I don't hate them at all. And I'm glad they're aligned with Matt Hardy, by the way. And by the way, whatever happened to the Penelope Ford's boyfriend or husband or fiance, the super bad guy? I thought he had a good look. I listened to a lot of wrestling podcasts that really destroyed him, but I didn't have any issues with him, except they just made him look like a chump every week. But I don't know. I'm just kind of wondering. Anywho, this guy Dan Lambert, very entertaining. He's like almost like a R-rated, not R-rated, because that couldn't be on cable per se. It could be, but it's not, and we're not going to see R-rated wrestling, but he's like a very hard PG-13 version of Bobby Heenan. Very good on his feet, funny, knows how to get heat, and is just really good. And I do like how he's blending a shoot MMA camp with All Ego, Ethan Page, and Scorpio Sky, and kind of making that one alliance. I think that's a pretty innovative thing. I don't think we've seen anything quite like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, because I haven't seen everything pro wrestling in my entire lifespan, but I've seen a lot of it. And I like the back and forth that he had with Y2J. I actually thought they had a really good back and forth chemistry, and I hope that's not the last we've seen of that. So I hope that's not just a one-off kind of a deal here. What else did we see? We see now CM Punk is starting to get into a program with the guys from Team Taz. And just as Bruce Pritchard put it, the Hulk dust. They put Hogan with this guy in the 80s in his prime to sprinkle some of that Hulk dust on him. I think CM Punk, and I think AEW also thinks that CM Punk can have that same effect on some of their younger talent. And I like this because for the most part, a lot of his feuds in AEW are going to be fresh. I think what we all want to see is Punk and Cabana at some point have some sort of a program. But who knows? I don't even know what their relationship is. I don't think anybody knows. I hope for the sake of friendship that they pieced up so that they could work a professional program, or if they're not quite friends anymore, put that aside and work a program. I actually want to see that the most out of anything. But I do like Punk working with these younger talents. I think it's awesome. And it's going to really benefit the fans that want to see it, and especially the younger talent. Just like Jericho earlier this year gave Orange Cassidy a good rub. And that sounded sort of homosexual, but I didn't mean it that way. And then the last thing I wanted to get to, and we'll do a little more watch along with Rampage, is I love that AEW is having Clash of the Champion-like shows. And for those that are not familiar with Clash of the Champions, or as WWE now calls it, Clash of Champions, which, why do they do that? Why do they do stuff like that? Why? What's wrong with the word the? It's Clash of the Champions. It's not Clash of Champions. Anyway, next week we know they're doing their Grand Slam. They're going to have a 2-hour Rampage. They're going to have pretty much a pay-per-view like event on cable, on Dynamite. And I guess it's going to extend to Rampage as well, because it'll be 2 hours, like I just said. But it looks to be a good show. And if I could find that card, if it's on the internet, let's see. We'll go over it. AEW, I typed in Rampage. Why did I do that? AEW Grand Slam. There we go. Wow, it's actually got its own Wikipedia page. That's pretty incredible considering it's just it's not just a regular show, but it's like the regular TV slot. So that's very interesting to me. This AEW is really catching on, huh? All right. And look at this. It's split between Dynamite and Rampage. I like that. I also like how it's okay to have two different shows and just be one brand, by the way. It's not like there's a Rampage roster and a Dynamite roster. And by the way, there might be, but you don't have to announce it. Like the way we've seen the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny on Rampage and not necessarily have seen them on Dynamite. That's fine. But you don't have to make that like an official thing. Like you want to leave it fluid so they can just go wherever they need to be. But if you want to keep them on one show, you keep them on one show for the most part. But it doesn't mean they can't go on the other. And from what I understand, that's how Raw and SmackDown used to be prior to 2002. All right. Wow, this is a lot to go over here. This goes really deep. But these are all feuds that were also pretty much set up after or kind of during the All Out time. And wow, they're actually saving the CM Punk match for Rampage. I think they're trying to boost those Rampage ratings because we do know that Rampage is sort of hurting in the ratings a little bit. But let's see. Brian Pillman Jr. versus MJF. I think that's going to be a good match. Brian Pillman Jr. is really showing some heart and enthusiasm out there. We talked about Maliki before. Sting and Darby Allin versus FTR. What I'm going to look for in this match is how much ring time they give to Sting. That's going to be interesting to me. Dr. Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho. That's interesting because they're pushing Ruby Soho to the moon right now. Like she's the second coming. And again, I like her. I'm not sure if she's as big as they're making her out to be, but I think she's got a lot of momentum. And I think she's gonna take the belt. Omega versus Danielson. I'm looking for a fuck finish here to give Danielson maybe some sort of excuse to challenge him again, and that time being for the belt. I don't think AEW is in the business of having champions lose 1, 2, 3 on non-title matches. And so I definitely don't think that's going to happen, even though it was Bryan Danielson's debut match. That's why I'm looking for a fuck finish here, or Kenny cheating to win, or something to that effect. Then we got Adam Cole and the Young Bucks going against my man Christian Cage and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I think that's just going to be awesome. I'm not even going to make a prediction, except that's just going to be awesome. Really looking forward to that. Jericho and Jake Hager versus... okay, so that back and forth that we just talked about is going to actually go into a match, which is good. I like Scorpio Sky. I like Ethan Page. So that's going to be good. And then we have CM Punk versus the guy from Team Taz, Powerhouse Hobbs. So this is a really stacked card. This is like a Clash of the Champions type event. Look who's on this card. I just processed this as I was going through it, but look who's on this card. MJF, Maliki Black, Cody Rhodes, Sting, Darby Allin, Britt Baker, Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, Young Bucks, Christian, Jericho, and Punk. You have 13 legit. I mean, is Britt Baker a legit headliner? In AEW as a woman, I'm going to make that argument and say yes, she is. But you have 13 headliners, and Darby Allin is a new headliner, obviously, and so is MJF. But MJF can headline a show. He proved that, and so did Darby Allin going with Punk. So you have 13 headliners over a 2-night event. What I really hope is that Rampage is going to be live. I'm not sure if it's going to work out like that. It's probably more cost effective to do it all in one night. But if Rampage is going to be live a week from tonight, that's going to be goddamn special. And actually right now they're showing a hype package with our boy Powerhouse Hobbs over here.
Rampage, I'll see you, Punk. You ain't face nothing like this. I'll see you. Good job, man. Good job. 12 for the time.
That's the Punk dust I was talking about, though.
Wow, CM Punk and Powerhouse Hobbs next Friday night. Part of
That's going to be good.
Grand Slam, but right now, let's throw it down and coach somebody in the ring. All right, Matt Hardy.
All right, little Matt Hardy.
Happy man, your team is 0-2 here tonight here on
I like Shivani's, but he's got to get rid of that earring.
I'm pissed off, Tony. I can tell that. But you know what? I'm going to have the last laugh.
I also like the vulgar language.
Anna Jay is going to pay next week at the hands of Penelope. And the Lucha Brothers and Proud and Powerful, they're going to pay in an 8-man tag next week. I am not in a very good mood right now, and I'll tell you somebody who's really pissing me off. That's this Orange Cassidy lookalike sitting here.
A guy in the crowd. For those listening,
Wait, what are you?
that's got to be a plant.
Orange Cassidy fan, maybe. It's like maybe 3
This is actually really funny. He just stuck his thumb up. The fan.
You want to anger? I wouldn't mess with
But you can tell Matt Hardy is doing what he wants to be doing, and he's coming out how he wants to come out, looks how he wants to look, and this is great.
Matt Hardy bringing this fan into the ring. Oh my gosh! And Jack Evans is just like he's off his rocker. I'll tell you.
Just good stuff. All right, well, we're about halfway done with Rampage, a little more, and I think that's it for tonight. And we'll catch you Juice Heads next week on episode 6. And next week's going to be a good one, so I'm excited for that. And peace.